I'm farsighted, so I'll just put my glasses on. All right, then we'll, oh, there we go. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Candidates Night. My name is Amy Smith, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Topsfield, Boxford, Middleton, I'd like to welcome you. I know I understand there was a little bit of confusion. Yes, this is the League of Women Voters for Topsfield, Boxford, Middleton. I'm a Georgetown resident, as is another one of our members. Candidates Nights or forums is something the League does all over the country. In fact, the League used to do the presidential debates. I used to host the presidential debates. So this is a service we provide to voters. And because our League has a couple of Georgetown residents, we're extending that to Georgetown. So thank you for participating. A little bit about the League. The League is a multi-issue, nonpartisan organization, and as such, never supports or opposes candidates or political parties. We do, however, take positions on issues. We've studied and we do encourage active citizen participation in the democratic process. And we applaud those who are running for office tonight and you, the public, who are taking time to become informed about the issues and the candidates. We've asked audience members to write out questions on white cards and pass them to the front. So if anybody hasn't done that yet, please do so now. We ask that you refrain from these 3 Ps: personal attacks, profanity, and poor handwriting.
I'm out of here. That's what I'm just going to say. Keep the profanity to a
Our time constraints are such that if we keep this forum to an hour, it can be rebroadcast in full several times before the election. I'd like to introduce your moderators tonight, Karen Sheridan, who's the president of the League. Karen is from Boxford. We have a policy neutrality in these things, so we prefer a moderator to come from outside the town where the candidates' night's being held. I'll be your timekeeper, so candidates, keep an eye on my signs, okay? And we asking you to keep your remarks to the time limit. And we're going to get started.
Okay. We're going to start in ballot order with the non-contested candidates. So would the candidate for moderator, Charles David Surface. Would you like to give a 2-minute?
Sure, you want me to sit right here?
Sure.
Oh, back there?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for doing this tonight. This is great. Before I begin about myself, I really would like to thank Beverly Enos, who put a tremendous amount of time and effort into being moderator for many, many, many years. I know I've been in town since 2006, and she was the moderator then. So congratulations. She did a great job. She also had a TV program on the cable station. So, you know, talk about dedication to the town. So we really should all give her a round of applause and thank her very much. So about myself. So I came to town in 2006 and immediately joined the Finance Committee. Did a 1.5 to almost 2 years to Finance Committee. Then the Board of Selectmen opened up to a 5-member board, and I did 9 consecutive years on the Board of Selectmen. I think maybe four of those years as the chairman. So I have some background in running meetings and working with constituents and working with people in the town. I served on the Georgetown Housing Authority for 6 months. Was on the school building committee for a long time, and Carol will attest to that. I'm actually the chairman of the Affordable Housing Trust. You know, we have an Affordable Housing Trust here in town that does a lot of good work. Again, I only have 2 minutes, so I won't explain any of that. But I'm on the Field Study Committee presently also, and I've represented Georgetown at regional meetings, including Merrimack Valley Planning, the MMA legislative meetings, Mass School Building, and I also testified in front of a state joint committee on the municipalities about changing the laws for changing town meetings in the event of a natural disaster like a hurricane, which we had to actually show up and cancel the meeting in front of the venue. So that got changed. My professional career, I'm a president and CEO of a credit union. I have a degree in business administration with a concentration in accounting from Salem State University. So, you know, my goal to be moderator is to make sure that the meetings run efficiently and that everybody's opinion is heard and we get to a situation where people feel good about, what we've passed at town meeting. Also, part of the role of the moderator is to appoint the finance committee. I have an accounting degree. I sat on the finance committee, so I think I have some, background and, the ability to pick, good people to serve on that committee that would keep a good watchful eye on the town's budget and town's finances. I've been a CFO in my career also, so I think I have the accounting background necessary to facilitate good people on, good engaged people on the finance committee. So, again, my goal is to run the meetings efficiently and make sure that everybody comes out of there feeling like their opinion was heard and that we get to a good point in a good situation for the town. So that's my spiel. I think, like I said, I've got plenty of experience running meetings and chairing meetings and making sure that everybody's heard and that with the due process is done. So that's my 2 minutes. I think I did good
Okay.
as far as my
Thank
2
you.
minutes.
Thank you.
Because I never met a microphone I didn't like, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless there's any questions,
Assessor, Michael Carl Anderson. Highway Surveyor, Peter Durkee. Light Commissioner, Nicholas Lawler. Water Commissioner, Stephen King. Peabody Library Trustees, Susan Clay. And Susan Cloche.
Khaleesi.
Closey. And for planning board, no one at the moment for 5 years. Okay, we will move to the contested candidates. We will go in ballot order, and they will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement, 1 minute to answer questions. All the questions are going to be directed to me, the moderator, and each candidate gets to answer all of the questions. So, at this point, would the candidates for selectmen come forward and have a seat?
No.
That's the question.
This is testing my diet.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much.
Good thing I didn't eat dinner.
Okay. So the candidates for selectmen in ballot order are Robert Bancroft and David Twiss. We're going to start with Mr. Bancroft for an opening statement.
All right, thank you and good evening. And thank you for coming this evening and thank you for putting this on. My name is Robert Bancroft, candidate for selectman. I've lived in Georgetown for 6 years, and although I'm a relative newcomer to Georgetown, it's my home. I love Georgetown, love the natural beauty, the hiking trails, the conservation land. I live here with my wife and daughter and son and dog and 2 cats. You might have seen me walking around town with a little black dog. That's me. I grew up in central New York on a farm. I learned the value of hard work. Ultimately dropped out of high school and learned the value of an education. Went back to school, have a degree in construction management and an advanced degree in business, a master's in business and a master's in accounting. I work as a financial director and administration director for a national subcontractor, and I feel that my experience, I was also in the Marine Corps. I feel that my experience and my education, my life experience, will benefit the town. I want to give back to the community. That's why I'm doing this. My vision for Georgetown is to balance the needs of the individuals with the community as a whole. I want transparency for the town. I have no specific agenda. I don't represent any special interests. I want what is best long-term for Georgetown. Take every issue as it comes. We can't sell out the future of Georgetown for short-term gain. We need to evaluate each issue on, the effect on property values, taxes, traffic. I have the same concerns that you do. I want to support small business development, but most of all, I want to keep Georgetown, Georgetown. It's a small New England town. It's not Danvers, it's not Peabody, and it shouldn't be. That's why we're here. That's why we live here. In summary, I believe my financial experience, my management education, my life experience, military background, and commitment to the small town will benefit Georgetown. I'm doing this because I care, and I would be honored to represent you as selectman.
Thank you. Mr. Twist.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the league for putting this together and inviting us to share more about ourselves. I know a lot of you in this crowd, but there are some I don't. So for those, my name is David Twist, and I am a candidate for selectman. My wife and I, Catherine, moved to Georgetown in 2012. It's coming up on 7 years. We chose Georgetown because it was a smaller town with great schools and a great sense of community. We felt that the minute we got here. Our children are very involved in town. They play sports, scouts, and they attend the Pembroke Elementary School. We truly love this town, and that's why I'm sitting here. You probably, if you do know me, either met me at the Georgetown Bank where I worked when I first moved to town, or at Holloway's at the Black Swan, maybe from the zoning board on Tuesday nights. Maybe it was because I coached your daughter or son in t-ball, basketball, soccer, or maybe you know me through my wife, who serves on the PTA and is the director of the field hockey program for the GAA. Whatever it is, I've been very involved since moving to Georgetown. I was the president of Kids First, which is a charitable organization at Georgetown Bank. I've been on the ZBA for 3 years. I'm also on the board of directors for the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center, and I chair the development committee. If elected selectman, I plan to review each case unbiasedly. I don't particularly have an agenda. My agenda would be that I want what's best for everyone in this room and everyone watching on TV. So I promise to make sure that I do my due diligence, read everything, understand everything. If I don't, I will ask the questions I need to ask, and make an informed decision for the majority of the constituents. Thank you again.
So I might just ask you to hold your applause now to the end of the questions. Mr. Twist, we'll start with you. What do you think are the 3 most challenging issues facing Georgetown over the next decade?
The next decade. Well, keeping a balanced budget is definitely one of them. Finance is a major priority and always has been and will remain to be. Keeping strong departments in town, including schools, police, fire, water and light, park and rec. And third but not least of which is taking care of the citizens, making sure we maintain the senior center, maybe have a rec center when it's feasible, provide more income for families with the youth with a safe place to play and grow, and to overall support our green space and our business equally.
Mr. Bank.
Excuse me, could you speak up? We have a fan blowing behind us, so
Oh.
the voices aren't traveling very well.
Thank you.
Mr. Bancroft.
And the question was the 3
Most challenging
most
issues
challenging issues
facing
facing the town
over the next decade.
over the next decade. I think it's really balancing the needs of an aging population with a young population. In addition, ensuring that our emergency services are where they should be or where they need to be, and that our people are incentivized correctly. I think the third is to balance the growth of the town in terms of, I think there seems to be a push for industrialization with kind of that short-term, well, we need the money viewpoint, and I think that needs to be, viewed with more of a long-term lens.
Okay. Mr. Bancroft, next question starts with you. Do you believe that the proposed merger of the town electric department and the water department is in the best interests of the town?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean, reading the information, there's not too many arguments against it. It's towns of our size really are tending to shift to, a kind of even the larger expansion of DPW. I mean, we're not there yet. I think the consultant recommended that we do it in kind of in a tiered approach. and he made a believer out of me when I read what he said.
Okay. Mr. Twist.
Yes. I happen to have had several discussions with Mr. Lawler, who's running for Light Commissioner. He's done this once before in Littleton. I've also read a lot of the information, and I think it will be prudent for the town to consider it.
Okay. We're going to go to Mr. Twist for this question. How do you feel about the rec center for youth?
Well, in fairness, the Board of Selectmen have already reviewed this and approved it. The issue that I believe exists is how we'll fund it. So to answer your question, yes, I'm in support of it. I do believe that our youth need a place to go and take part in whatever activities are offered. There are a lot of kids that play sports on Saturday and Sunday. Not all the kids play sports on Saturday and Sunday. The financial issue needs to be worked out, but I think it would be beneficial for the town.
Mr. Bancroft.
Well, ideally, of course. I mean, how could you be opposed to such a thing? But in a town of our size, with our revenues, you have to prioritize. And, you know, there are other things, emergency services, et cetera, that would be a higher priority than a youth rec center, in my view.
Next question, Mr. Bancroft. How will you implement long-term planning?
Well, that's a bit open-ended. Long-term planning. I'm struggling with an answer to that question. Is there a clarification? I mean, I'm not sure who wrote the question. Anything in particular that you're curious about? Well, I mean, to implement long-term planning, I mean, one stage at a time, one step at a time. You have to ensure that it's funded. You have to ensure that you have the buy-in of the community.
Okay. Mr. Twist.
Well, we had a vision done for the town, and we had a future plan put together. But to continually utilize that as our foundation, while keeping in mind what all of the people sitting here and watching on TV and the people that will go out to vote and that live in the community ultimately see as their wants and needs, I would use that as my backdrop for long-term planning.
Okay. Next question, Mr. Twist. What is your position on ballot question 1?
You know how many times I've been asked this question? A lot. Just so you all know, I'm in support of medical marijuana. I believe it's a wonderful thing. My dad was diagnosed 3 years ago with cancer that was incurable. He is now taking CB oil. He's had lesions in his lungs that have disappeared and tumors have shrunk. I'm a believer. That said, I do not want the former Theo's to be a pot shop. It's not appropriate. I do believe there is a place for this type of thing. I think that question number 1 is appropriate, and I will vote to limit the one recreational marijuana store or dispensary.
Mr. Bancroft.
I also support question 1 and will vote yes on question 1. I think, you know, in terms of the way it's being handled, to have it go to the town as a whole is important. I mean, I think my personal opinion on the number of dispensaries is not as important as the community's view. And it's going to a vote, and we'll see what happens. But I'll be voting no. I think that, you know, the effect it could have on our youth, the effect it can have on our traffic, which is already very bad. I think that we should definitely limit the number of dispensaries.
Mr. Bancroft, next question. Do you think our Main Street downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change that?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't think there's been any good answers to that. I mean, our downtown is atrophying, and it's very sad. You know, we want a thriving downtown. We want an area where families can go and enjoy, and half the businesses and half the stores are empty, and it's truly unfortunate. If I had a silver bullet, I think, you know, the folks that are a lot smarter than me in the audience and in the community would have would have an answer already. I've heard that there's a sewer issue, of course, and that's a significant revenue issue. So I don't think there's any quick and easy answer, but that would be, a top priority for me is revitalizing the downtown area.
Mr. Twist?
I too think that our downtown needs some sprucening up. I think that I would love to keep its downtown charm that it exists now. I like small business. I would love to fill it with more small businesses. As Mr. Bancroft noted, there was a decision in the past not to bring town sewer into town, which I think was maybe a mishap. But we've made some strides. While I was on zoning board, we approved variance for settlers to put in some commercial space and build some condos. There's also apartments going in above CVS, so we're beginning to turn the tide here and make some strides in revitalizing and making that a downtown walking area where you can go to shops and so on.
Next question, Mr. Twist. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing?
Our town.
Our town.
Well, a lot of people have asked me, how would you do this and how would you do that? The real answer is, I have a group of people I have to work with to make an informed decision for the town, which is all of us. We've got to a point now where we have some land available that we can make some really good decisions and some really poor ones. I don't have all the answers for that, and I don't pretend to. I'll never pretend to. But I think we have some opportunity with some land and some other areas where we can really rejuvenate some of the commercial base. In our census or plan there, the vision plan, they called for 80-20%. 80% residential taxes, 20% commercial. It's been said to me that 15 is unachievable. I'm kind of a can-do kind of guy. I'd like to see us figure out a way to get there.
Mr. Bancroft?
Well, we have to work within the constraints of a balanced budget, and our tax revenue comes from taxpayers, over 90%. I mean, the commercial and industrial revenue is almost used as a smokescreen and overstated oftentimes to try to push through items. Due to so we're constrained in terms of budgets. So we need to prioritize our spending. And I think, again, we need to take a long-term view and the effect of, the potential industrialization and selling off parcels and things like this, these kind of one-time fixes. What long-term effect does that have? It's not sustainable.
Okay, next question, Mr. Bancroft. Some people in our community say we have a traffic problem. What do you think? How would you mitigate this?
That is good.
So I live on Central Street, and I'm amazed. Fortunately, I'm able to work from home most days when I'm not traveling, and the traffic is backed up from the center of town all the way past the graveyard, all the way past our home on Central Street. The traffic is absolutely abysmal. It seems to be primarily commuting traffic. I understand that there's an item on the to be voted on to potentially lower the speed limit as a way to potentially mitigate that traffic. I'm not sure if that'll be effective or not, but it's a concern for us all, and it's a concern for me personally, and I certainly welcome input into how to solve this traffic crisis.
Mr. Twist?
Well, speaking from someone who sat in front of the Board of Selectmen not too long ago proposing the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in my neighborhood, I don't know if one of my neighbors was here with his daughter, he was sitting right there with me, became a townwide warrant which will be voted on May 6th. First, that will produce a safety factor that doesn't exist now. A lot of our side streets are 30 miles an hour, which is extremely dangerous in my opinion. Traffic is an issue. Look, the other day there was an accident on West Main Street, and I live on Lake Shore. and all 190,000 cars that morning traveled through my neighborhood. I get it. I don't want to sit here and tell you I have a solution, because the fact of the matter is, someone asked me the question, I said, well, if you really want the answer, if we could put a barricade at Pub 97, downtown would be pretty much open in the morning, but that's not an option. So we're gonna have to think strategically about speed limits and other things that we can do to deviate traffic, because it is a major cut through from Haverhill.
Okay. Mr. Twist, next question. What do you consider the most pressing issue for Georgetown?
Oh. I only have to pick one, huh? I think municipal finance right now is an important factor, because it starts there. If you can't balance your budget, you can't implement programs, you can't take on new projects, and the town warrant list will get thinner and thinner. At the end of the day, what we do is we put town warrants and we, manage boards. But bigger than that is keeping our budget balanced and keeping the revenue stream coming in. And that takes creativity. And I'm willing to work with my fellow selectmen to do that.
Mr. Bancroft?
Well, of great concern to me is this, again, the push toward industrialization and the kind of the pressure that's placed on the community in terms of revenue and the decisions that is leading to, and taking a step back, taking a deep breath. What is the long-term effect of these short-term decisions?
Mr. Bancroft, what is the issue you most want to address?
Is that a different question?
No, some of these are somewhat similar.
Well, it sounds like that might be like his priority versus
Yes, your priority.
your priority.
Your priority.
Downtown revitalization and small business development. Areas that our families, our friends can enjoy, can walk to, places for our kids to play. I'm very excited about the dog park that's in. Well, it's been underway for some time, but hopefully that can get finished. Things like that.
Okay.
Just activities, activities for the community.
Mr. Twist.
We talked about it earlier. 91% of the tax revenue comes from everybody in this room. And, we're positioned with an 80-20 proposition, and 15% of that is said to be unattainable. I'd like to work with my fellow board members to figure out a way to, one, revitalize downtown, and to reach that 15% without doing it in a inappropriate manner or a visceral manner. We need to have some forethought and some consideration into what the needs are of this town, where these lots of land are available, and what type of businesses best fit in there. But if we don't strengthen our commercial base and start getting some commercial tax base built up, our taxes will continue to go up year over year. That's a fact.
Mr. Twist, next question. How do you plan to engage residents in the decision-making process in our town?
I know a lot of people in town. I'm on almost every field every weekend. Most people know where I live. My door's open. My phone is posted in almost every sub shop on a business card. I don't think people have a hard time getting a hold of me, and it will continue to be that. I was actually talking to a former selectman who said he used to hold Wednesday hours for a couple hours a night, which I didn't know that, but I'm seriously considering it if I get elected. Maybe an hour or two every Wednesday just to hear what people have to say. And at the end of the day, I'm not sitting up here for me. I'm sitting up here for all of you and to do what's best for everybody. I just think I'm one of those people who like to volunteer and give back and stay involved. So if not me, then who else? You have to step up.
Mr. Bancroft.
Well, I think that there is a significant amount of community involvement. I didn't realize how much there was until the campaign. I think, social media platforms, phone calls, coffee hours, it's it's an incredibly involved community. And the selectmen's meetings are public, town meetings are public. In terms of additional involvement, there's a significant amount of involvement already, and I think it's a testament to the people in Georgetown and how much the people in Georgetown care about Georgetown.
Okay. These last two questions sort of sound like they would be closing statements, so I think I'm gonna read them and then let you go to closing statements, which we'll start with Mr. Twist for closing statements. If you can put this all together in 1 minute. Why are you running for Board of Selectmen, and what do you bring to the town as qualification?
Good question. Well, first of all, the reason I'm running is, as I said before, I continuous volunteer, I give back. And I posted this in Facebook, and I've said it to other people. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So here I am. I've been on the zoning board, I've been on many boards. If you're not giving back, you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So with that being said, I have a degree in management and minor in accounting. I'm a financial lender at a $4 billion bank. I see all types of businesses come through my office. I understand both the planning piece of it, the zoning piece of it. I have kids in school, I'm vested, and I'm here to serve the constituents of Georgetown. Hopefully I'll have your vote on May 13th.
Thank you. Mr. Bancroft.
I'm doing this for the community and specifically my family. So, ultimately I can pass on to them, what we've established here. I'm doing it for them. Don't have any personal agenda. I know it's an unpaid volunteer position. And in terms of what I bring to the table, I have 20 years in financial and construction management, accounting, business, construction management degree, an MBA, an MSA. But that's not just me. I think I bring, kind of a level-headed, balanced view to the table. And a very analytical view where I can take each issue as it comes without any preconceived notions.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll be bringing up the town clerks, candidates Carrie Ann McManus and Kathleen Roche.
Maybe.
If there is such a thing.
Because I can. Oh, sorry, I put.
Yeah, so I think Kathleen Roche is here.
Okay, Kathleen, you're here, and
Yeah.
Carrie, you're here.
Yeah.
I'm here. We're doing it alphabetically,
Yes.
left to right.
We're doing ballot order. We can do that. Take this. Thank you. And we will start with opening statements with Carrie Ann McManus.
Thank you, ladies, for putting this together on the League of Women Voters and for everyone coming today. My name's Carrie McManus, and I'm running for town clerk. My husband and I moved to Georgetown 11 years ago. We've called this our forever home ever since then. I have 4 children, and they all attend the Pembroke Elementary School. My husband is a call firefighter for the Georgetown Fire Department. And through school and through his involvement in the town, through the fire department, we've made lots of connections and developed good, strong relationships with people in the town. A little bit about my education. I have a master's degree in education. I was an educator for many years before deciding to stay home with my family and raise them. With that being said, being a teacher, you have a certain kind of skill set that you can bring to a job. Organization is number one, something I'd bring to the town clerk position. Also, I'm able to manage people and to communicate effectively, as well as building relationships, which is, I think, something I think we need. Two things I'd like to see happen is for working families, maybe have a day like other towns do where the town clerk's office is open for longer and later hours so that people can get their business attended to without having to go to work late or come into work early. Did that make sense? I don't know. And then the second thing, I would like to maybe get the town clerk's office a little more up to date, being able to do things online like renewing dog licenses and things of that sort. So that being said, I hope that I could have your vote on May 13th, and I could continue to try to change the town and make us a better and more organized and up-to-date place to do business. Thank you.
Thank you for putting this on, and thank you for everybody for coming. My name is Kathy Roach, and I'm currently the Assistant Town Clerk in Georgetown and have been for the last 18 years. I have the knowledge, the experience, and the ability to become your next town clerk. You know, over the years, I've met a lot of people at my job, and I've been very lucky to meet them all. And a lot of people have seen me at the elections, the town meetings, town clerk's office. Working there has given me the opportunity to serve my community, and if I'm elected, I will serve that community to the best of my ability. You know, I've been a resident for Georgetown for 34 years. My partner Ken Haskell and I we're committed to our community and our family. Our children, Heather and Kenny Haskell, they were both born and raised in Georgetown. They both graduated Georgetown High School. Heather was in the band. Kenny played Georgetown football. And, you know, we just love living here. We've been here for a million years. My kids have grown up in their father's family home and still do. Thank you. And going forward, if I'm elected, I will do the best I can to continue the job that I always have been and focus on the concerns and needs of our residents as I have in the past. Thank you.
We'll start with a question for Ms. Roche. Is there an issue you most want to address? One issue.
An issue I most want to address. Well, there's a lot of issues, but I think, as Kerry had said, one thing that would be very good for the town clerk's office is to be able to do a few more things online, like be able to get your birth and death and marriages and pay for them online. Doing dogs online is a little bit more difficult only because we have late fees. So if we do them online, it's very hard to get the late fees back and forth. But at least those other three, at least a step in the direction of more online, electronically available for the residents would be a lot easier.
Okay. Ms. McManus.
So I would like to, if I elected town clerk, I would like to, same thing as Kathy was saying, is to be able to get things more easily accessible for people, especially working parents, keeping business open a little later so we can get there. Again, being able to file things electronically instead of having to come in or mail them.
Any other questions, written questions floating around?
Um,
If not, we'll just go to the last, as I said with the last closing. Could you cover this, why you are running for town clerk and what qualifications do you bring? And we will start with Ms. Roche.
I'm currently running for town clerk because it's just the next step for me. I've already been in the clerk's office, like I said, for 18 years, and that is what I'm bringing to the job. I already have the knowledge and the experience. It's like being at a regular job of being a cook and you want to be the manager. So I just want to go that next step level, and I have the experience, 18 years worth, and I just want to get the office a little bit more into the future. And my experience is my experience. That's all I can say about that. Thank you.
Ms. McManus.
Okay. The reason why I'm running for town clerk is because I want to give back to the community. Like I said before, my husband and I have been here for 11 years. We have 4 kids in the school system. He's a call firefighter for the Georgetown Fire Department. Being part of the community is important to me and my husband as well as my kids. I'd like to, even though I don't have as much experience as Kathy, I have been an educator for many years. And again, like I said before, I have a certain skill set. I'm organized, I'm dependable, I can manage people well, and I can communicate effectively. And also I'm hoping to update the town clerk's office and bring us into the 21st century. And I also think being part of the community and having younger kids in school, I also can kind of keep my ear to the ground and listen to the concerns of the townspeople and build relationships.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Is Kevin Wood present? If not, would Cheryl Lashendro come and speak?
You can sit over there or whatever you like.
There are two people running for school committee, and there's just, you can only vote for one.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Many thanks to everyone here in the audience and to the League of Women Voters for inviting us here and having this evening. My name is Cheryl Lashendro, and I've been a resident of Georgetown for 16 years. And in that time, I've been truly dedicated to the community and committed to maintain the high integrity of our school system. I graduated from Lesley University and started teaching in 1994. I taught in Georgetown for 19 years, teaching 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and I spent some time teaching the Gifted and Talented program as well. I served on many committees. I took leadership roles, curriculum committees, mentoring young teachers, things like that, as well as being on the school council. When I decided to leave the classroom, it was a difficult decision for me because I have this passion for teaching and learning and education. And at that time, I had this moment where I realized there was one other thing that I felt that passionate about, and that was being a mom. So I left teaching to be home and raise my son. And it was through the process of making the decision that I decided I would always be involved in education. I started volunteer work when my son was very young. I was on the board of the Greater Newburyport Mothers and Families Club. Then an opening on school committee came based on a resignation. So I went through the interview process and was appointed for 1 year before I ran for a 3-year position, which I am coming to the end of, and I am looking to be reelected for another 3 years. I've also added to some of my volunteer work, working with the PTA and the Triton Youth Hockey Board. I've recently stepped up there. Most recently, I've became the publisher of a Macaroni Kid website where I publish a weekly newsletter, have a website, go to events, create events for kids and families. I think, in summary, the overall theme of my experience and my passion through my background focuses on children, education, teamwork, community, all which are key components of being part of the school committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We won't be taking any questions because we don't have a second candidate. But there is a ballot question. There is a ballot question on your ballot. We would offer, if there was somebody who wanted to give a 5-minute pro or a 5-minute con to this ballot question, which I won't read it in entirely, but I'll just do it quickly. Shall the town of Georgetown adopt the following general bylaw, which is a limitation on the number of adult-use marijuana retailers? The number of adult-use marijuana retailers as defined shall be limited to 1. Pro, con? Well, with that, we're going to go to closing. Remember that your town meeting is Monday, May 6th, 7 p.m. at the middle and high school. And your town elections are Monday, May 13th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Pembroke School Gym. We want to thank Georgetown Community TV for covering tonight's proceedings. And if you check Channel 9 on Comcast and Channel 42 on Verizon for rebroadcast times and dates. And you can check the Georgetown website for election results on election night. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.